Welcome to the Minutes to Win It podcast. I'm Jason Gilbo, JGilbo11. This is Nick Rodriguez with me at N Rodriguez DFS, and he's new with us here. He did a great cash game article for today. Check it out on our website there. And welcome aboard, man.
Thanks for having me on. I'm kind of excited talking about this crazy big NBA slate tonight.
Yeah, I mean it's a big one, and there's a lot of blowout concerns, and I mean, we're looking at 5 double-digit point spreads tonight, and it's kind of tough because there are a lot of high-scoring teams and guys you want to target usually in cash games, but the blowout factor is there. But looking at Washington Golden State, 225, it's a monster total, but the Warriors are 10.5-point favorites, as well as OKC and Orlando there. But obviously those are always two teams that are definitely reliable for fantasy production.
Yeah, those two teams, especially Golden State, the way they've been playing this year, you always look at guys like Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson has been heating up lately. But I would definitely stay away from those guys just because of the high over-under point difference, I should say, between Washington and Golden State.
Yeah,
so that's just my take on it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I mean, cash games especially, it's kind of a little bit risky. Maybe you want to take the lower guys if you still want to get exposure to the lower price guys from those games. I think they're just kind of more reserved for GPPs because the blowout factor can happen.
Exactly.
If you're looking at safer options, there's still a lot of high totals on this slate. Sacramento, Chicago, Philly and Atlanta, Detroit, Boston. Even though the Clippers and Minnesota it looks like a blowout potential, I still like that game in general for just, kind of all-around format plays.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Like, for some reason, I think Minnesota keeps it close. I don't know if it's just me being biased. I like that young team. But I think Wiggins can step up tonight. Karl-Anthony Towns should have a big game against DeAndre Jordan. He's going to get a lot of minutes. So there's some guys definitely to target tonight as well.
Yeah, no, I think out of all the blowout games, I think that's the less likely one to happen. I feel safe attacking that one in cash games. Looking at some lower games here, Dallas and Miami, that's kind of the unappealing game of the night, just a 193 total, kind of a slower pace game. Also the Nuggets facing Utah. I like Utah tonight as kind of a contrarian route just because they still have over 100 team total. Any team you're on that's more off the radar tonight?
I'm definitely looking at that Miami-Dallas game. I think you can get a lot of value in that game, which we'll get into later. I especially like a couple Dallas guys in this game tonight.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a pretty good transition over because, as you mentioned, there's a lot of value in that game. We're looking at point guard now, and Deron Williams is out tonight. Devin Harris is out as well. So that's kind of where you're looking at. You were mentioning value from that game, and J.J. Barea, Raymond Felton on the Dallas side. They're going to get bigger minutes in that backcourt.
Yeah, both of those guys, Raymond and Barea, I see them getting minutes high 20s and the 30s perhaps. But between those two guys, I'd probably go Barea just because he's a guy from Miami going up against the Miami Heat. I think he plays with a little chip on his shoulder. He's killed the Heat in the past, and we all know what he can do when Williams and Harris are both out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, he's a deep value play, and he doesn't have to do much to hit value tonight at those prices, especially on FanDuel where he's below 4K. He's a little pricey on DK, but I still don't think he's a bad option. And Felton at shooting guard, I definitely prefer Barea, like you mentioned, and Felton's just kind of more of just a filler. I'm not expecting too much out of him tonight.
Yeah, especially he's got a pretty tough matchup going up against Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the greatest matchup, but I mean, price considered, it's not a bad play.
Yeah, definitely not a bad play for 4,500.
Kemba Walker, the other injury news tonight, and he's out. But we have seen Jeremy Lin and Jeremy Lamb both going to be active tonight. Again, this is probably one I'm not going to be playing much of with the blowout concern, just because one, I don't think Charlotte keeps this game close, and Lin or Lamb don't have good matchups.
Yeah, this game is definitely one I'm not going to be targeting. I really liked Kyrie for some reason tonight, but I don't know if I'm going to pay that 6,800 price tag for a game that could get out of hand early, and we see him sitting out the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's definitely another blowout concern there. And as you mentioned, MVP has been pretty solid in the past, but if he's not getting those fourth quarter minutes, he's not going to get you those points that you need at that price. Um, the news we're kind of all waiting on for is Rajon Rondo. He's questionable right now. He's dealing with a turf toe. Hopefully we get that news before 7, but it's kind of going to be highly unlikely. The point spread is pretty close. It's going to assume that one of Cousins or Rondo is playing tonight. So I think more so Cousins than Rondo. But if he's out, that's just going to be more Darren Collison. And I love Darren Collison if we know Rondo sits.
Yeah, Darren Collison has been great this year filling in for Rondo. I think he would be a solid point guard for other teams, but he's unfortunate playing behind Rondo. But I like that plug and play, and I like Rudy Gay regardless if Cousins and Rondo are in or they're both out. I think he's a great play regardless.
Yeah, I mean, he's been consistent before, one of the two went down. And obviously, I mean, his usage jumps way up when Cousins is out. But like you mentioned, he's been playing solid basketball beforehand. You looking at any other point guards tonight? I mean, you paying up for either Westbrook or Curry?
Probably in the tournament, but cash game, I'll play it safe. Both of these guys, we know they're the two best point guards in the NBA, but that over under point difference is scaring me off these two guys.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick one guy, it'd probably be Curry, just because you save a couple $100, and I think that game will be a little closer than Orlando OKC.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. I think if anything, Washington is a team to be able to keep that game close, especially at home. But
exactly.
I know you like Chris Paul. You wrote up Chris Paul in your article today with us. Obviously he gets a great matchup against Minnesota, and it's the less likely blowout game because, as you mentioned, Minnesota just seems a little bit more talented and can keep things close as they have most of the season.
Exactly. Don't be fooled by them, even though they lost to the Lakers last night.
Yeah, I mean, that was a bad loss, but we saw Towns get into some early foul trouble. But
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they're a team that can bounce back, and they're young enough to play on the back-to-back, so I definitely like that game tonight.
Exactly. Definitely fun one to watch as a fan.
Yeah. If you're looking at cheaper options, kind of that mid-tier, Jeff Teague in a good spot, coming off a big 50-point game. Not always expecting those big upside games from him, but always a solid value play with Jeff Teague.
Yeah, you mentioned Derek Collison earlier. You got me eyeing him. Definitely going to be looking at that injury report constantly, hoping Rondo sits so I can plug him in. We mentioned JJ, another guy I like. Those are the two cheaper options on the slate I'll be looking at.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of either going to be paying up or paying down at point guard tonight because those mid-range guys, not a lot of great matchups.
Exactly. I have a question for you, actually. Change it up. What do you think about Trey Burke tonight against Denver?
I like Burke. I like more so in GPPs just because, if he gets into that minutes where he's playing over 20, which has been kind of the concern lately, he can light it up. It's just a big risk. I mean, the price is there, but it's pretty risky.
He's got the price and the matchups, but with the low over-under and the inconsistency of minutes, maybe a GPP play like you mentioned.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I like Utah, but I think if I'm going anyone from that game, it's probably going to be either the big guys or Rodney Hood.
Okay.
Yeah. Moving over to shooting guard, Tyreek Evans, questionable, considered doubtful to play, but playing the Spurs doesn't open up a ton of value just because no one's going to be really targeting against the number one defense there. So, I mean,
yeah,
other than that, it's pretty light for injury news. I mean, you're not playing guys like DeJean Jones like we have the last few nights for dirt cheap.
No, especially the way the Spurs play defense. You mentioned they're the top defense. I won't be touching anybody in this game.
Yeah, no, me either. You're looking at your top options. Jimmy Butler, clear-cut number one for me tonight. I mean, the guy's been really consistent, averaging 21, 5 and 4 over the last 5 games, and just plays big minutes night in and night out. Obviously, the matchup against Sacramento is great. I guess the only downside is maybe his high price tag, but I still don't mind him tonight.
Yeah, I'm right with you there as well. We seem to be agreeing a lot on this big slate.
Looking at cheaper guys, Clay Thompson, as you mentioned, earlier when talking about the totals, he's a solid play tonight. And I mean, you said he was heating up, and that's exactly what he's been doing because 34, 32, and 45 real points in the last 3 games. I mean, the guy's huge. And I think price considered, he's one of my favorite plays from the Warriors tonight.
Yeah, especially with that matchup he has against Washington. They've been battling so many injuries this year to Bradley Beal, Otto Porter's banged up. So he could be that guy that goes off for the Warriors.
Yeah, I think just, Curry's expensive, Green's expensive. Like, you still want to get some exposure, but I mean, Thompson's kind of your cheap guy to do it with.
Exactly.
I mean, you're a Heat guy, Dwayne Wade. I mean, he's in a solid matchup tonight. You think the minutes are going to be there? I think that's my biggest concern.
Yeah, I'm Tyler Johnson is out for the next few months. So guys like Gerald Green will step up a little bit. But I think Dwayne Wade gets around 29, 30 minutes,
Mhm.
especially playing on a back-to-back. But, I think he's a great cash play. Wouldn't use him in GPP, especially on a back-to-back.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. I mean, cash game wise, he's been solid. He's been really solid of late, but I mean, I'm kind of with you there. I think he lacks that upside just a little bit for tournaments tonight.
Yeah, especially on a back-to-back.
Yeah. Looking at cheaper options, kind of that mid-range guy. I really like Rodney Hood tonight. I mean, he's been really consistent lately, averaging about 33 DK points over the last 4 games and shooting the ball well, shooting over 50% from three. So gets a great matchup against Denver. I think if you're taking shots at this backcourt, I think Hood's your guy.
Yeah, he's been playing great basketball. Nuggets have struggled all season long to cover opposing shooting guards. So I definitely like that pick as well. And we mentioned earlier Raymond Felton,
Yep.
definitely another cheaper guy on the shooting guard position to target.
Yeah. And if Ben McLemore sits tonight for the Kings, Marco Bellinelli came in and played 36 minutes last game and went 18, 3, and 6, produced well. It's a tough matchup against Jimmy Butler, but Chicago's been struggling of late defending all 5 spots. So whether he's getting worn down or what, but Bellinelli would definitely see over 30 minutes tonight if McLemore sits.
Yeah, especially with that ridiculous over under at 214. I wouldn't mind paying for Marco Bellinelli one bit.
Yeah. So I think you're looking at either your top options of Butler, Thompson, Wade, or you're kind of paying down at that spot and punting a little bit.
Exactly.
Moving over to small forward, Batum is questionable tonight. He's been upgraded from doubtful to questionable, but we're just not on that game in general. I mean, Charlotte against Cleveland. Charlotte has about 8 active guys tonight, so it doesn't open up a ton of value.
Yeah, we mentioned earlier, no way I'm touching that game. Especially with all these guys banged up. I just don't see them keeping up with Cleveland.
Yeah. You're looking at you got Durant, James, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard tonight, but I'm not too enthused with paying up for any of those guys tonight. Are you?
One guy I'm kind of looking at, but I'm scared to put him on my roster is Paul George. He hasn't been playing that great lately, but I like the matchup, and I don't know. I have mixed emotions about that. I'm hoping you can lean me towards one side.
I mean, the matchups there. I mean, I like I like the Indy matchup with Brooklyn, and the price has come down because, as you mentioned, he hasn't been playing well of late, but he's always capable of those big games, and he's still playing huge minutes, and his usage rate is still very high. So I don't mind him in GPP tonight. I think I'd rather pay down in cash, but I think he's a great GPP target.
Yeah, I guess I'll make a tournament lineup with Paul George, and my cash lineups I'll use our boy Rudy Gay tonight.
Yeah, I really like Gay. I like Gordon Hayward tonight. I mean, we've been kind of thrashing the Denver defense here, so you can take shots at that. You never want to load up on Jazz tonight, but I like taking one or two guys for your multiple lineups here.
My question for you in this small forward slate, been waiting to ask you this all day. MKG, Michael Kidd Gilchrist, he's been playing great basketball since coming out of injury. Are you willing to pay 4,500 for him against Cleveland?
Oh yeah, yeah. I like him on DK, and I'm glad you brought him up because his price on FanDuel, 5,800. That's untouchable for me. But I mean, at anything, 4,500 is a great price for him. He's going to have to play huge minutes again tonight with all the injuries.
Exactly. And I know you also mentioned Robert Covington in your article.
Oh yeah, I think Covington's a pretty good sleeper tonight, and I mean this guy can get hot in a hurry from three. I mean the guy's taken 35 3-pointers in the last 4 games, so we've seen him really dial it up. And his steals, I mean he's gotten off to some stretches where he's coming off maybe 4 to 5 steals a game. So I definitely think he has upside. Really like his price on FanDuel where he's 5,100.
Yeah, you mentioned it. He's got that upside. And my last question for you, I seem to be running the show now. What are your thoughts on Doug McDermott?
It's tough. It's tough watching this guy. I mean, he's
great college player.
Yeah, and he's been getting kind of more minutes with Mirotic out, but the guy's just not producing. I mean, for 3,300 against the Kings, maybe you kind of hope you toss him in a tournament like Stars and Scrubs and hope he goes off, but it's tough.
Those lineups never end up well for me for some reason.
Yeah, it's a strategy that rarely hits. Moving over to power forward, you got DeMarcus Cousins, who's power forward on DK. He's questionable tonight. He did participate in this morning's shoot-around, so I think he's more probable than anything, which kind of is nice because you're not going to take as many shots as Cauley Stein or Kufos tonight. So also it's going to keep things close. I mean, Cousins is always in play if he's truly healthy, especially tonight against Chicago.
Yeah, we just got to wait and see for that injury report and see what happens. Do you like him more with Rondo or without Rondo?
I prefer him a little more with Rondo, but I still think either way, I mean, he's going to get his.
Yeah, his usage rate is going to be the same.
Yeah. Just, I mean, the quality he puts up, I mean, you can kind of count on him night in and night out, but that price tag's gotten really up there to I kind of hesitate pulling the trigger some nights.
Yeah, it's getting ridiculous.
Looking at some mid-range options there, we like Draymond Green. His price is starting to come down, and then obviously he drops a triple-double against the Knicks and kind of keeps it there. So I don't mind him in cash games tonight, but I do think he's a little bit more reserved for GPPs. What do you think?
Yeah, with that high over-under point difference, I should say, I think he's a great tournament play. 9,000, I don't think is too ridiculous for him. I think he deserves to be 9,000. And we mentioned that triple-double alert, we should say.
Yeah.
Because this guy is always a guy to watch for the triple-double.
Yeah, no, he is. I mean, he comes night in and night out, and I mean, the guy has 50-plus fantasy point upside, and definitely what you want for tournaments. And he's always a pretty safe cash game option. And I mean, the blowout factor is there, but I mean, Green's always guy. Because he's a great fantasy points per minute play, he doesn't suffer too bad if maybe he only plays a couple minutes in the fourth.
Exactly. We'll be happy with 10 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists.
Yeah. Looking at some cheaper options, I like Paul Millsap. I like Kevin Love tonight. The only concern with Love is that blowout factor, but I mean, since Blatt's been gone, I don't know if that's the reason, but Kevin Love averaging 19 and 7 over the last 6 games and been pretty close to about 40 fantasy points night in and night out.
Yeah, I don't know what that situation is, but I think they're giving him the ball more in the post. They're letting him play his game, and Cleveland just seems to be coming together.
Yeah, I mean, the way he's shooting the ball right now, 15, 13, 19, 17 field goal attempts over the last 4 games, he's kind of your safe option tonight, especially against Charlotte, who's struggled against power forwards this season.
Exactly. We just got to hope he plays the fourth quarter.
Yeah. I mean, that seems to be the concern with a lot of these guys tonight.
Exactly. But one other cash game play I really like is Derek Favors.
Yeah.
Again, Denver. You know, they've struggled to cover big men for years now, as I can remember. So he's at 6,900, which I think is a great price. And he's been getting minutes in the 30s. So I can see him easily hitting 5 times value tonight.
Oh, definitely. I mean, especially at that price. And as you mentioned, I think both guys are both him and Gobert are under 7,000 on DK tonight, and just a great price tag, great matchup, and I'm definitely with you there.
You gonna stack those two guys together?
I don't. I'll probably split them up. I don't know if I'll be able to put them together, but
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
over under is a little scary.
yeah, I do like. I mean, I do think they both kind of hit their share, but together, if I'm going upside, I'll probably pair them with someone else.
All right. Yeah, I agree with you there.
If you're going down, Jordan Hill is going to get the start at center tonight with Mahimi out, and Jordan Hill's been a great player over the last few days. Him and Miles Turner, really hard to get away from that duo right now, especially in this matchup.
Yeah, Jordan Hill and Miles Turner, I'd put them together without a problem in my cashier tournament plays.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I think those two, you're safer duo for also a lot cheaper as well.
That would be the popular duo of the night for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's been that way the last couple of games, and will continue to tonight. Another power forward option who's really cheap with Hassan Whiteside. Kind of iffy for tonight, but Amari Stoudemire. I mean, the guy's been as consistent as can be since filling in for Whiteside over the last few games.
Yeah, I think Miami seems to know what they're doing with Amari, and he looks like he's wearing a Phoenix uniform, but just in Miami.
Yeah, I mean, those were when he had his better days, so
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. But averaging 10 and 9 over the last 5 games, I think he's one of your safer value options at power forward.
definitely. And one other cash game play, if you want to be different than Jordan Hill, I think Taj Gibson is
Oh
one heck
yeah,
of a play tonight.
yeah, definitely. I mean, he's been seeing big minutes, and obviously anyone against the Kings is in a favorable spot. So yeah, I definitely like the Gibson call there.
Gibson or Hill, which of the two you prefer?
I think I like Gibson a little bit more. Um, I mean, obviously on DK or on FanDuel, Hill's a center, but I think I like Gibson just a little bit more, just because maybe I go with Turner, um, just to be a little bit different.
All right.
But I mean, either way, I think they're both pretty equal tonight.
Yeah.
Moving over to center, I mean, Hassan Whiteside's the only questionable one for tonight's game, and hopefully we get that news beforehand, because if Whiteside does come back, I think Stoudemire kind of just bounces off my radar. Not a guy I'm really on anymore.
Yeah. If Whiteside, I read a report earlier today that he felt no pain in his hip. So as a Heat fan, I'm hoping he plays tonight. As a DFS player, I'm hoping he sits out one more game.
So we can get one more night of Stoudemire.
Exactly.
I mean, center is absolutely stacked tonight. Depending on the site, I love Brook Lopez. I know you like Brook Lopez tonight. Nice matchup for him, and I really like that DK price of his.
Yeah, 7,500. I think the price is right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice matchup against Indy. Get some younger guys, so he'll be able to come in and dominate. Been playing unbelievable basketball lately, averaging 26 and 9 over the last 5 games. So I'm all over him at that DK price.
And I sorry to interrupt, but I have some breaking news for you. Boogie Cousins, Ben McLemore, and Rajon Rondo all went through shoot around this morning.
All right.
So my guess is they're closer to probable than doubtful.
Well, that's good. All right, so at least we got that news out of the way, and we're not cutting back and you're looking at this podcast and being like, what the hell are they talking about?
Exactly.
So I mean, all the Kings guys are in play. That means Bellinelli, Carlson, Cauley Stein, Kufos would all take a back seat. So everything would kind of go back to normal. But I do still like Gay at that price. He'd be the only one who I kind of leave at the same places where he stood this morning.
Exactly. Just don't expect 50 fantasy points.
Yeah, kind of more of a cash game play, but I think tournament-wise, you can hope for higher upside from someone else.
Exactly.
Back to center, I mean, it's pretty stacked night. You like Pau Gasol, Andre Drummond, Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, your top option guys, all in great spots tonight. Do you have a preference out of those three if you're paying up?
Man, if I had to choose, I'd go Gasol 1, Karl Anthony Towns 2, and Andre Drummond 3.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. I love Gasol tonight. I like him a little bit more on FanDuel, just where he's a little bit cheaper. But, I mean, either way, he's a great play tonight. And if you're looking at some cheaper options, there's a lot of good guys too. As we mentioned, we both like either the Utah guys. We like Rudy Gobert, Favors. Gobert just under 7K still. Really like him as well as he's been producing of late. So averaging 13 and 13 over the last 4. He's just kind of your safe cash game option tonight.
Exactly. Also, Miles Turner. I know you want to mention him, but I thought I'd steal him before you. And Gorgie Dang.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those two are the best value plays in the night at center.
Exactly. Both in play once again until they get to 7,000.
Yeah, then you got to really start hesitating with the matchups, and maybe they come a little closer to those other high-priced guys.
And my question for you is, do you play Boban today?
No, there's no way I'm playing Boban. That should just be a nightly, or just a daily question that we have. Are we playing Boban that night?
Would love to see him get some minutes.
I know. I mean, the guy he averages like 3 fantasy points a minute, and I mean, even if he plays 15, the guy can score 30.
Exactly, and I think his hands are bigger than both of mine put together.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, the guy's scary. Anyone else you think we forgot to mention among any of the spots?
We mentioned Boban, so I think I'm satisfied.
I think we covered it. All right. That's going to wrap things up here with the Minutes to Win It. Check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all our great tools and content.